Human psychology explores the invisible forces that shape human thought, emotion, and behavior. Every action a person takes begins in the mind, yet much of what drives us happens beneath conscious awareness. The brain is constantly processing information, filtering reality, predicting outcomes, and protecting the individual from perceived threats. What we call personality is not fixed at birth but formed through a complex interaction of biology, experience, and environment. From early childhood, the human mind begins building internal models of the world. These models help us understand what is safe, what is dangerous, and what is expected of us. Experiences during early development leave deep psychological imprints. Praise can create confidence, while neglect or criticism can produce fear and self-doubt. Even events we no longer consciously remember can continue influencing behavior years later. Perception plays a critical role in psychology. The brain does not experience reality directly. It interprets it. Sights, sounds, and emotions are filtered through memory and expectation. This is why two people can experience the same situation yet react in completely different ways. The mind fills gaps, exaggerates threats, and sometimes creates meaning where none exists. What feels real emotionally may not always be accurate objectively. Emotions are essential psychological tools developed through evolution. Fear increases survival by preparing the body to respond to danger. Joy reinforces behaviors that promote connection and well-being. However, in modern society, these ancient systems can misfire. Stress responses are often activated by social pressure, uncertainty, or imagined threats rather than physical danger, leading to chronic anxiety and emotional exhaustion. The human mind also seeks control and predictability. When faced with uncertainty, people create explanations, beliefs, or narratives to feel safe. This tendency can bring comfort, but it can also lead to rigid thinking and resistance to new information. Understanding this psychological need for certainty helps explain why people sometimes cling to beliefs even when evidence challenges them. At its core, human psychology reveals that behavior is rarely simple. Behind every action lies a network of thoughts, emotions, memories, and unconscious motivations working together, often without the individual realizing it. Most human decisions are not made consciously. Studies show that the brain makes choices seconds before a person becomes aware of them. What feels like free will often begins as an unconscious process shaped by habit, emotion, and past experience. The conscious mind usually just explains the decision after it has already been made. The brain is wired to notice negative experiences more strongly than positive ones. This is known as negativity bias. One bad comment can outweigh multiple compliments, and one failure can feel more powerful than many successes. This bias evolved to help humans survive threats, but today it often leads to anxiety and self-doubt. Memory is not a recording of the past. Each time a memory is recalled, it is slightly changed. Emotions, current beliefs, and suggestions from others can alter what is remembered. This is why eyewitness accounts are often unreliable and why people can be confident about memories that are not fully accurate. The human brain prefers familiarity over truth. People are more likely to believe information they hear repeatedly, even if it is false. This is called the illusory truth effect. Repetition creates a sense of comfort, and comfort is often mistaken for accuracy. Silence can feel uncomfortable because the brain interprets it as social rejection. This is why people often speak unnecessarily or agree with others, even when they disagree. The need for belonging is so strong that it can override logic and personal values. Stress reduces rational thinking. When the brain detects danger, it shifts control away from logical reasoning and toward emotional response. This is why people make poor decisions under pressure and say things they later regret. Chronic stress can permanently affect memory, focus, and emotional regulation. Humans are deeply influenced by authority. Psychological experiments show that people may follow instructions from authority figures even when those instructions conflict with their moral beliefs. The desire to obey and avoid punishment is deeply embedded in the human psyche. The brain avoids discomfort by justifying behavior rather than changing it. This is known as cognitive dissonance. When actions and beliefs conflict, the mind often changes beliefs instead of behavior. This explains why people defend harmful habits or decisions, even when they know the consequences. Understanding these psychological facts reveals that human behavior is less about logic and more about survival, emotion, and unconscious influence. The human brain is more attracted to unfinished tasks than completed ones. This is known as the Zeigarnik effect. When something is left incomplete, the mind keeps returning to it, creating mental tension. This is why cliffhangers are effective and why people struggle to stop thinking about unresolved conversations or unanswered messages. People tend to overestimate how much others notice them. This is called the spotlight effect. In reality, most individuals are focused on themselves. Yet the brain assumes constant observation. This illusion increases social anxiety and self-consciousness, even though others rarely pay as much attention as we believe. Emotional pain activates the same regions of the brain as physical pain. Rejection, loss, and humiliation are not just emotional experiences, but neurological ones. This is why heartbreak can feel physically painful and why social isolation has serious psychological and biological consequences. The brain prefers simple explanations over complex ones. When faced with uncertainty, people often accept the first explanation that reduces discomfort. This is why misinformation spreads quickly and why people may believe false narratives that offer clarity over truth. Habits form because the brain seeks efficiency. Repeated behaviors create neural shortcuts, allowing actions to occur with minimal effort. This is why habits feel automatic and difficult to break. The brain prioritizes energy conservation, even if the habit is harmful. Humans are highly influenced by facial expressions and body language. The brain processes nonverbal cues faster than spoken words. This is why first impressions form quickly, and why tone and expression often matter, more than logic and communication. Loneliness alters perception. When people feel isolated, the brain becomes more sensitive to threats and negativity. Neutral interactions may be interpreted as hostile, reinforcing emotional withdrawal. Over time, loneliness can change how reality itself is perceived. The mind fears loss more than it values gain. This loss aversion explains why people avoid change, stay in unhealthy situations, and fear letting go. The psychological pain of losing something feels stronger than the pleasure of gaining something new. These psychological facts reveal that human behavior is driven less by rational thought and more by emotional survival mechanisms shaped by evolution and experience. The human brain is constantly predicting the future rather than reacting to the present. It uses past experiences to anticipate what will happen next. When reality does not match these predictions, discomfort occurs. This is why unexpected events feel stressful and why the brain prefers routines and familiar patterns. Confidence is often mistaken for competence. Psychological studies show that people who speak confidently are more likely to be trusted, even when they are incorrect. The brain associates certainty with safety, which is why confident misinformation can spread faster than careful truth. The mind adapts quickly to both pleasure and pain. This is known as hedonic adaptation. Major achievements, wealth, or success provide only temporary happiness, while difficult situations often feel less painful over time. The brain normalizes new conditions faster than people expect. Multitasking is largely an illusion. The brain does not truly perform multiple tasks at once but rapidly switches attention between them. This constant switching reduces accuracy, increases mental fatigue, and creates the feeling of being overwhelmed. Even when productivity is low, people are more influenced by emotions than by facts. Logical arguments are often ignored if they conflict with emotional beliefs. The brain prioritizes feelings because emotions developed earlier in human evolution than rational thought. The brain forms emotional attachments, not only to people, but also to ideas and identities. When beliefs are challenged, the mind reacts as if it is under personal attack. This is why debates often become emotional and why changing someone's opinion is so difficult. Sleep plays a critical role in psychological health. Lack of sleep impairs memory, emotional control, and decision-making. Prolonged sleep deprivation can distort perception and increase anxiety, irritability, and impulsive behavior. Humans have a strong desire for meaning. When life feels meaningless, the brain experiences distress. This need for purpose drives creativity, religion, ambition, and even self-sacrifice. Meaning helps the mind endure hardship. Psychology shows that understanding the mind does not eliminate its influence, but awareness creates choice. When people recognize these mental patterns, they gain the ability to respond rather than react, bringing greater control over behavior.